view me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So I want to ask that is that chat section is visible to you today?
Not yet. Still, I'm unable to view the chat. It is like chat and channel meeting is only available for team members. I think means do I need to register or is there any such kind of thing?
So like our team members already added you in the team, so we expected that you can see the chats today.
Okay, but still I'm unable to. It's still disabled.
Okay, so
So can you tell us that mail ID from which you are joining so that we can add your account?
So I am not using any email ID. Is it kant.mentor@gmail.com? I think so. The same email ID you used it, right? For your
Yes, sir, we added that,
yeah,
but
kant.mentor@gmail.
maybe
The
there's some
same
issue.
thing I joined it. But I'm joining as a guest. I'm not giving any details. Shall I try
yeah.
to rejoin with by giving any details or etc.?
So you can join by giving your email ID. Then you
Oh,
can see the chat section.
okay, sure. I'll be doing that.
Sure.
So shall we
So
start? We need to wait.
I think we can start. Chat section. Yes, sir, we can start on this.
Yeah.
So, okay, good afternoon to one and all present here. Myself, Ishika Srivastav, and I am your host for today. As we all know, we have completed our first day of boot camp with very successful, with the grace of Sir, and we learn about many things like what is machine learning, applications of machine learning, and how we can use it in the future in the projects, and what is the roadmap to be followed. Now, we will continue with the second day of boot camp, which includes the quick hand projects and applications of ML and AI. We will see different things and prototypes that can be discussed by the sir and as follow. Then now from more delay, I would like to call our sir to continue with the second day of the boot camp. Sir, hey.
Thank you, Ishika. Thank you so much. So let me just share my screen. On yesterday, we discussed about um, like intro of machine learning. We discussed. We came to know about what is the difference between machine learning and your programming. We discussed it. So before getting into any machine learning model, or I'm not going deep into the deep of machine learning, but I just want to give you a high level picture about machine learning. So in machine learning, we have two different categories. Are you aware of it? Like two types of learnings in machine learning based on a specific output and no specific output. Any guess?
Supervised and unsupervised.
Absolutely. Supervised learning and unsupervised learning. What is supervised learning? What is supervised learning? Specific output. If we have it, we call it as supervised learning. And unsupervised learning is no specific output. Now let us take a small example. Now in order to go with a supervised learning or a unsupervised learning, specific output, in the sense you got labeled data. So in unsupervised learning, unlabeled data, we have it. So what exactly meant by this labeled data and unlabeled data? What is the specific output and no specific output? Whenever you are getting into this machine learning, now we need to see what is the available data we have it. For example, there is a labeled data. I'm showcasing an image and I'm saying it as this is related to dog. Or I'm showcasing another image. I'm saying this data is related to something like cat. In this way, I have a labeled information, or I'm just taking some color, shape, and size. I'm saying this, if this is the shape, if this is the color, if this is the size, we call it as apple. There is a labeled data. Now if you are able to study like this, I think we have a labeled data. What is that? If you are able to study like this, if you are able to get very good marks, if you are able to buy a house, if you are able to buy a car, and if you have a security deposit in your account, so you are called as a successful person. Labeled data. So now when you have a very good amount of labeled data, so as a reference of the labeled data, you are able to be like that. You are able to mimic it. The one of the very simple example of a labeled data, which we do it in our day-to-day life, is our question and answer. For this particular question, this is the answer. There is a labeled information. Then what is unsupervised way of learning is unlabeled data. Now the recommendations which we are getting in our Instagram, is it a labeled data or is it an unlabeled data? The recommendations which we are getting in our Instagram, is it a labeled or is it an unlabeled?
Unlabeled.
It's an unlabeled data. And if you are giving, or if your Instagram is giving you the wrong predictions, is there any problem? If it is recommending you the wrong reels, or if it is recommending you the wrong content, if it is recommending you the wrong YouTube video once or twice, is there any problem? There is no problem. That may not be a big deal. So now just imagine you went to a hospital and it is able to give a guess. Hey, you may be having some COVID, or you may be having this disease. Can we go for this maybe concept? Approximately you are having this disease. Can we go for diagnosis like this, like unlabeled, or it need to be specific? Hey, you have a heart disease, or you have this particular disease, or you are able to get a job. So when you are going with the problems, so they need to be specific. So based on the seriousness of the problem, we need to choose between, again, supervised or unsupervised. Again, based on the availability of the labeled information, we need to go for either a supervised or an unsupervised technique. So these are the two techniques which we have it. And in any of the supervised learning, we are discussing primarily on the supervised learning. So in a supervised learning, the equation of your supervised learning is y equal to f of X. So here X is called as your data, and that data is also called as input data, or even we can call them as features. And Y is called as our output data, which is Y. So the change in input always causes a change in your output. So the goal of every data scientist is identifying the right input parameters. Let me make it more simple. So this Y is getting a job. Getting a job, yes or no. So now these are input parameters. What are the input parameters? College, the name of the college, or the branch which you are studying. So the ability on aptitude test, or it depends upon your programming ability. So your competitive programming ability. So your communication skills. For example, these are my input parameters. Based on change in input parameters, there is a change in your output. Now, based on this particular parameters, if we are able to strictly say whether we are able to get a job or not, so in case if we know the specific parameters, if we focus on the specific parameters, we are able to get a job. If someone already decoded it, I think it would be easy for us or not? Yes or no? Yes or no? Let's take a small example. There is a person from X college, and there is a person from CSC, and there is a person who is having aptitude levels of 10. Even the programming ability is also 10. Even his competitive programming ability is also 10. So 10 out of 10. And even his communication skills are also 10 out of 10. So this person got a job. Yes. There is another person who is also X, who is also from CSC branch, and whose again aptitude levels are 10, programming ability is 10, his competitive programming ability is 10, his communication skills are also 10, but he is unable to get a job. Now, is these features are sufficient to exactly differentiate getting a job over not getting a job? This above parameters are sufficient to exactly differentiate between getting a job over not getting a job. The answer is not exactly. Why? So the above record is similar and the below record is also similar. So on what basis this person got a job means this collected data may not be sufficient. You need to collect more data. And again on the below thing, both are same, but why this person is unable to get a job? So the data, the input data which you collected is insufficient. So the process of collecting the right input parameters, which can exactly help us to differentiate the output, we call that process as what? Feature engineering. So what exactly meant by feature engineering? So the identification of the right input parameters which going to help us to differentiate your output, we call it as feature engineering. So the goal of machine learning is we need to identify the right features, and once you identify the right features, then what is the procedure? Let me write it down step by step. The very first step of your machine learning is data collection. Second step is understanding your data. Third step, in case if you understand the data, if you can collect the right parameters, then separate it into input and the output. And the fourth step, you need to split the data between train and test. I'm not going deep into all the topics, just I want to showcase you. And after that, you need to call an ML algorithm. I want to feed it into the training. And after training, I want to go for the testing, and after the testing, seventh one, I just want to go with evaluation, and finally I want to perform deployment. And after performing the deployment, if everything is well and if the clients or the business owners are very happy, then we escalate this into MLOps pipeline. So all projects are not eligible for MLOps pipeline. It depends. So based on the requirement of the project, based on the success nature of the project, we try to push it into MLOps pipeline. So let us just go into this particular flow chart step by step. Let me show you the programming. So this is one of the example we can use, and as well as we can use one more example. What is this? Let me share my screen. Yeah, you're able to see this. Let me divide this script into few parts so you're able to understand. So this stage from line number 2 to 9 deals with library importing. Are you aware of it? Anyone here? Are you aware of Python? I think you're still in second and third year. So we call it as library importing in case if you are aware of Python. So we are importing libraries which are required for all this operation. And the next stage, I'm trying to import my data. This stage is dealing with importing data set. After importing the data set, so I don't want in out of this data set, I don't want some required, I don't want to use some of the columns. So I'm trying to delete those columns. So this stage, I can call it as data cleaning. But here one stage is missing. We call it as data understanding stage. Why there is no data understanding stage? We already familiar with the data, so we are not dealing with a data understanding stage. In case no, you want to perform some data understanding, then you do the basic EDA, you try to understand what this data is, you visualize it, you use some statistical metrics. Based on that, you proceed further with the data cleaning. So I removed few columns here, and a few columns need to be encoded. I done that encoding. And once it is created, then I want to separate, we call it as splitting data into features and output parameter. So now basically in every data, whichever you are importing, they're going to be a output column, they're going to be input column. So you are trying to split this as your input column. X is called as input and Y here is called as output. Again, we need to go back to the theory which we discussed. So the change in output based on change in input. So in this case, for example, let me open the data which we have it. So let me open this data gem. This is the data we have it. Now, if I click on this particular data gem, yeah, this is the data. Now you are aware of this particular prototype which we developed or which we done it on yesterday. Is this the one? Meanwhile, while it is loading, now we need to say whether the person is obese or not, or whether he is extremely obese or so. I don't want to feed in this BMI and class. Why? In the sense, when you're already calculating body mass index, there is no point in going for the particular model. So it's not this one, it is gym plan predictor. Yeah, this is the one, gym plan predictor. Now, when someone is giving the input age, height, and the weight, I need to predict this. Now, is it in the format of y is your output parameter and this three things as your input parameters based on change in age, based on change in height, based on change in weight, we are predicting whether a person is obese or not, which is your output parameter. So this is our input. If someone is giving age, if someone is giving height, if someone is giving his weight, it need to give a plan, get plan. So you are overweight, it is making that statement y. So for that reason, what I'm doing here, I'm separating the input parameters. What are the input parameters here in this case? So age, height, and weight are the input parameters. And what is your output parameter? So making like extremely obese or overweight or underweight, this is going to come into your output. So once we splitted the data into input and the output, now I'm using a technique called as splitting the data into train and test. It is more simple in lines of a student terminology. This input going to be more like your questions. This input going to be your questions in your exams point of view. Based on these questions, you are trying to provide the answers. So that is output. So what is the goal of teaching, or what is the goal of making you to prepare for the exams or the classes is based on the questions or based on the subject which we taught. If someone is giving the questions, you need to be in a position to answer it. Or if someone is asking you to write a code, you are in a position to do it. Means by making you to pass through the training with a specific label, you are able to achieve that adaptability towards any sort of circumstances. Based on the learning you have it when you go to the interview, based on the questions interviewers are asking, you are able to adopt. Or when you go to a job, based on the clients are giving you the task, you are able to adopt. So to achieve that adaptability, now this is the overall. For example, now while I'm a teacher, I got 10 different questions, and for 10 different questions I got my 10 different answers. So while I'm coming to the class, I don't make sure that I want to train you with all the 10 questions and 10 answers, but I want to make myself to train you with 8 questions and 8 answers. And the rest of the 2 questions, I want to use it as my evaluation after completion of my training. For that reason, I'm going with this particular X train and X test. So let's take in an example of as a student, overall this X, if you're able to, let me write it down here, X train, it's going to have like 8 questions for 8 questions. And here, rest of the 2 questions are there in X test, and 8 answers are available in Y train, and 2 answers are available in Y test. So initially we got 10 questions and 10 answers. So I don't want to train my entire students with all the 10 questions and 10 answers. So I want to split it using 20%. So out of 10, 20% is like 2 questions. I have it in X test, and another 2 questions I have 2 answers are there in Y test. So these are like my folders. So I want to call my algorithm. So the mathematical equation. So here, this is my algorithm, or I call it as my mathematical equation. So I'm calling this data. So first here, there is nothing data here, just I called my mathematical equation. After calling the mathematical equation, so I'm feeding in data. So data is fed into mathematical model. So what I'm trying to fit. So here mathematical model can be considered as student. So now here student is our mathematical model. To the student, I'm feeding in. So what I'm trying to feed here, I'm feeding. So come on, man, try to go through this 8 questions. This is Q X train is 8 questions, and go through these 8 answers, and try to build the rules, try to get that understanding, try to build the knowledge or build the intelligence. So this particular student is able to get the knowledge or the intelligence once he developed it. So he said, teacher, I'm able to work, I'm able to understand everything so good. That's very good. But how can I trust you? You said whatever the 8 questions I taught you and whatever the 8 answers I taught you are able to learn it so good. Then how can I evaluate you? How can I know that you learned so good? Then I got an idea. So out of 10 questions, I used only 8 questions and 8 answers to train my students. So now there are rest of the 2 answers. These are 2 answers, Y test. And what I'm doing is this X test can be called as, what this X test, is it questions or answers? This X test is called as questions or answers. How many questions we have it in this X test?
Two questions.
There are only 2 questions. So I'm feeding these 2 questions. Now, who is this model underscore Jim? So this is model underscore Jim is nothing but our student who learned 8 questions and 8 answers. I said, hey, some ex-student, please go through these 2 questions and give me the answers. So this is going to be our student, model underscore Jim, going to be this going to be student. This is student and X test is your questions. And what about this? This going to be X predicted going to be what? Only predicted going to be 2 answers by, yes, by S Anderson student. So once I have a look over it, able to understand this. So predicted for these 2 questions, students has written the answers, 2 answers generated by student, and model underscore Jim is the student who learned 8 questions and 8 answers, and X test is your 2 questions. And now what I'm trying to do, what is Y test? This is your answer key. Now answer already my student completed with the examination. Now I want to understand whether he is doing good or not. So I'm comparing, this is my question paper correction. I'm comparing key versus, I'm comparing key versus answers by students. So based on the key, which I compared with answers by the students versus the key, I'm able to get the accuracy. If the student is doing very good, means like he's performing 100 out of 100. So when I'm doing like what exactly, so like we can take an example like interview. So he's doing very good. Then do I hire him? What I will be doing? He's performing so good. Can I hire him to my company? Let's take it is a questions, or this is a kind of interview which we are doing in for an interview we are doing it. So if he is performing so good, do we hire him? He's performing so good in the competitive exam or in the programming exam or in the aptitude exam. He performs so good. Do we hire him or not? Yes or no?
Yes.
We hire him. So now in lines of machine learning model. So in order to hire you, do your companies ask you for your records, your textbooks, your answer sheets, your all these things they want it? Your notes which have written, do your companies need all that information or they want only your intelligence?
Intelligence only.
They want only your intelligence, and the entire intelligence is present inside you, inside your brain. They say, hey man, just come and we will be giving the laptop, just come to our office and start working. So that's what they're doing. The same procedure we are doing with our ML model. So the goal of machine learning is not to pull the entire code. So after you have written all the code, you are trying to pick only where exactly here intelligence. What is the brain? This model underscore Jim is the intelligence or it's the brain. So now you are trying to save this file. So you are saving this file. After saving it, so when you are able to save, it is more like a suitcase. Hey, that's what serialization and deserialization, I'm not touching that. So it's more like a suitcase, means you are able to have all your addresses. You just want to pack it in a suitcase, you want to take it across. In the similar way, all the intelligence is present. I just want to carry, means I'm just giving the legs to this model underscore Jim so it can be used anywhere. For that reason, I'm using this pickle file and I'm saving it. Once it got where I need to use this intelligence, I constructed the intelligence. Where I need to use this intelligence? Where I need to use the intelligence? I can use it anywhere. So do I want to use this intelligence in a robot? Where exactly a robot is walking around and someone is in the ears of a robot, we are saying the height is 20 or sorry, age is 20, height is 5.9, weight is this. Someone is saying, and your robot is understanding that language and it need to give the suggestions. Okay, place it in a robot. But what is the type of data? It is a numerical data, but it is not an audio data. So now it is something where you need to give an input like this in the UI. So where I need to place this intelligence? In the front end or in the back end? Where I need to place this intelligence? In a web app, where I need to place the intelligence? In the front end I need to place it, or in the back end I need to place it?
Backend.
Absolutely, I want to place this intelligence in the backend. So now that intelligence in the backend is called as, this is the app.py. Able to see this? Import Flask. From Flask, import all these files. So now you're able to see, you're able to calling that model.gem. You're calling it. Able to see this and see this. You're calling HTML templates. And so you're from the HTML, you're trying to request this form A, B, and C, and you're storing into what is that? All the three forms: age, height, and the weight. All these things are translated into an array and they are stored into a variable and then fed into this model.predict. It is able to get the results. And once we got the results, again, they are rendered back to our front end. So this is your backend logic, which we are doing it. So now this is mostly like your backend app. So the same file, the model underscore gym, can you place it under a mobile app? Can you place it on a mobile app? If you're creating some Android app or you're creating some iOS app, can you place the intelligence in the backend? What do you
Yes,
say?
sir.
So now if you are working with an IoT devices like Raspberry Pi or Arduino, so or your NVIDIA Jetson, so if you are using these chipsets, again, you can, if you connect your Raspberry Pis and all that to your laptop, you are able to, you open Python, you are able to get that console. Again, can you place the backend, can you place that rules of your machine learning again on top of your IoT devices? So now this is here. Are you able to see anything like if statements or if else statements, anything here in order to make a statement about obese or extremely obese or underweight or overweight? We can't see any of this. There is a machine learning model here which is able to work. So this machine learning is an intelligence which can be plugged anywhere. It can be plugged into an IoT device. It can be plugged into a web app. It can be plugged into a mobile app. It can be plugged into your what is that, into a robot. So anywhere you can plug it and you can use it. But what is the data? So every time data is very important. One of the example I will be showcasing you. Yeah, if you are able to look on, this is our NLP model. So again, the same backend, we are getting the data, we have our ML model even here. So we are getting the text data here. So all the data cleaning we are doing in the text data, and we are able to achieve it. All the data cleaning we are doing it here. All the data cleaning we are performing. So once the data cleaning performed, we are pushing that very cleansed data into our model and we are getting the results and we are pushing it back. Again, the same front and back and all this layers going to work. So now here comes, whenever you are working for any data science project or any AI ML project, so who are the possible team members? Can you guess? Now, can you guess who are the possible team members if you are working for a AI ML project, AI or ML project for something like web app? Then who are the possible team members? You need to have a software engineer or a software developer or a person, we can say it as a full stack developer who can do both front end and back end. If you want to store the data, do you need to have a database guy? If you want to store the data, do you need to have a database engineer or a database admin? or database developer. Do you need to have it? Plus. So in order to build the intelligence in the backend, you need to have it? You need to have an ML or AI engineer. So this is the team members. In case if you are trying to work with an IoT team, so now here it may not be front-end and back-end developers. Here you're gonna have an IoT team plus again database engineers plus again you will be having AI or ML engineers. And it's not about IoT team, it is mobile app. So mobile app team again, I think same thing. I think same full stack developers going to work even on the mobile development. Again, the same database engineers plus ML or AI engineers. No, I'm working with a robotics. So instead of IoT, you can place here robotics plus database and plus AI or ML engineer. So now this is the team. So now in case no, hey Kant, I'm very good. Now just imagine you are a software guys, you people are from CSC. Now I think you can learn this, right? It's not a big thing. Means the entire end-to-end solution can be constructed by a software person, even if, in case if he's able to learn this machine learning and AI is pretty good. Able to understand this? Able to understand this flowchart? The scripting procedure, you are able to understand it?
Yes, sir.
And again, in order to work on this front end and back end, you have various ways to do it. Again, in order to write the back end, you can use we are doing it with respect to Flask, or you can do it with Django, or even if there are very non-programmers and they want to do it, they can do it with Streamlit. And for the deployment sake, they can do it through Streamlit deployment. They can do it through Heroku. They can do it through cloud. They can do it through what is that, like AWS or all these platforms, any of the hosting platforms, they can deploy it. So same, like all the procedure remains same, but only differs is in the backend you place your ML model. So that's the knowledge you need to have it. And it's more about from the fields you are giving it. So you need to collect it back. You want to store it into a variable, and that variable you need to pass it to your model, and it is predicting the answers. That results need to be pushed to your, again, front end. So if you are able to follow this procedure, that's it. It's more like this is the flow. We do it in lines of our machine learning or AI project. Do you got that clarity? Rather than thinking as data science or AML as a Greek and Latin, I think now you got the connection, how close you are as a CSE guy. Are you close to AIML or you are completely a stranger to AIML? What do you feel? After listening to this, are you a stranger to AIML or you are pretty close to AIML?
So close.
Pretty close. So you learn a lot of programming languages on Go, like you need to learn a lot of programming languages for web development, like front end tools, back end tools. For back end, you will be using Node.js or you will be using Express on top of it. So Java you do, oh my God, like you keep on learning multiple things. You do React for the front end. So bootstrapping you do, CSS you do. There is a lot of options you will be playing around. So I think learning ML is easy, but only one thing every person going to find it difficult is with respect to your what is that? You will be finding difficulty primarily with the data terminologies, and they find difficulty with the math terminologies. If you are able to understand data and the math, I think it's more easy. It's not. I think if you are able to add even additional skills like data, math, and business, if you can add these three things, it is more easy for you to do it. And one more tip I give it. So this kind of use cases, and even let me show you. This is the script of Iris data. I just went to the internet, I typed ML Streamlit deployment. So I got this script from the internet within 2 minutes. I got a link, I just copied it, I placed it, which is an Iris data set. So in the similar way, you can take another data and you can do it. Now here comes the major challenge. So as I said, ML roles or data science roles, they are primarily meant as an experienced roles. So means like at least they ask 1 year or 2 years of experience. So when you are going with web development, that is also one of the tip. Why doesn't even I do hire for a lot of web development related roles. So while I'm hiring for web development, when I'm asking for the when I place when we are doing for job roles or when we are doing that marketing to get the profiles, when we are getting the resume, we notice one major drawback in all the learners is the common resume template. So what exactly most of the people place in their projects or in their resume is like we worked on Wikipedia, we created some search, or we created a food app, we created some this kind of like very minimal things they will be placing it in the resume. And the second point is like apart from the minimal things, they go with very again Kaggle projects, they place it on machine learning. So these two things are a bit holding the calls which you are able to get it from the real time. Why it going to create a hold to the real time? Again, I want to touch back from a marketing point of view. So who is basically hiring your profile? So maybe a HR or maybe a particular technical guy. So I don't think with my own things like a technical person basically don't shortlist a profile. Very rare cases, a technical person means I'm a data science technical person. In a very rare cases, I just look on to the profiles. So major thing who going to shortlist the profile is the particular HR team. How these people going to shortlist the profile? They just search the profile, they see what is the requirement they have it. Based on that, they compare the resume, which seems interesting, which seems so great, which seems professional, which seems authentic. They try to shortlist the profile and they push it to the technical team. The technical team again look onto the resume, they give a call and they do the telephonic thing. And again, why even the technical guys are busy, again one more person going to give a call, they schedule the interview, then the technical person going to give a call. Now your first thing is you done a course, you done your engineering, you done your data science thing, you invested a lot of time, you done a lot of projects. If your resume is not getting shortlisted, there is no point with all this time of investment. So try to give more time on shortlisting or making your resume more good. So what exactly your resume need to contain? It need to contain real time projects. So it can be internship projects or it can be real time projects. If you are able to have these two things in your profile, that going to create a difference. Now I want to hire a full stack developer. What is the kind of interview I do is like I don't ask them giving a call and I don't ask all sorts of questions to the developers. I just see the profile which is seems interesting, they give some URLs in the resume, I just click on it, I see it. If I'm okay with that, the way the beautification, everything they made it, I just give them the task. So I see the timeline within how many days they are able to complete the task. I see the requirement, what I'm asking, how close they are able to build it. I need to feel that this guy is able to seriously handle any task. Whatever the ideas I'm giving, he's able to do. If I feel that this guy can do it, I will be hiring him. No matter what his packages, we are able to pay for it. Why? In the sense, our demand is more than the pay. Why? In the sense, the amount of value or the money we are able to make it is more when compared to what we are paying to a developer or a data scientist. So if any of the people are able to make this possible, like can do attitude or learning the things quickly, yes, we are able to give them the deal. So what makes more interesting is the projects that holds us to just break on your resume and just to wait on your resume, and that creates the curiosity in the interview of what these people seriously done. So if you are able to build that in your resume, that going to work. So try towards internships, try towards industrial internships, try towards roles and responsibilities in the internships, all this that going to help you. So even if anyone are planning for masters and all that, we get a lot of students who are going for masters where exactly they get into our internship programs or they get into our job simulation programs just to get a letter of recommendations, to get some experience certificates, to get some project completion certificates. All this they try to collect it so that they are able to get better opportunities in their masters or wherever they are applying to get a better college. We do that. So whenever you are planning for the things, try for industry internship, build your resume in a marketing point of view, and your LinkedIn or your resume is not for you, it is for others. So what others need to see in your profile, so they need to feel this person is the right choice. So are you able to make it? These are the things which you need to build it. Apart from all this, build the communication skills. That's it. So if you are able to build all this, yes, I think you can make great things. So you don't need to rely on anyone for a job opportunity. Opportunities, you can just create them, you can generate them, and you can just rule the things. All right. So that's it. I don't want to take much time. Any doubts, you can take it right now. You can ask me.
Sir, I have a doubt. Can I ask?
Yeah, please, please.
Sir, so first of all, like I do web dev and I do backend in Node.js. So is there a way to integrate this Python code with Node.js?
Need to check it. I don't think so. When you are trying to work on machine learning into Node.js, you can write the algorithms in JavaScripting.
In JavaScript? Okay.
Yeah. Is there a possibility you can try one thing? Means like, is there a possibility that we can serializing the model in JavaScript? What is that acceptable version? If we can do that, that going to work it. We need to test it once. I think basically when we have this kind of requirement, we write ML models in JavaScripting and we do that.
Okay, sir. And sir, one more doubt was like roughly how many unsupervised and supervised algorithms? Because there are like a lot of them, KNN and all. So how many should we know to get started
it's,
with?
it's not like how many of you need to be known, but try to make your learning towards project. For example, you are working on, let's take the same project which we done it on gym. So for that project, you worked on random forest, you used decision trees, you used gradient descent, even you used some feed forward neural networks. So now you need to be thorough with the four algorithms. Why? These are the four algorithms you used in your project. You need to be thorough on that. Or in one of the project you done dimensionality reduction using what? I done it using PCA, using TSNE, and even I used autoencoders. So you need to be thorough with all this three algorithms related to that particular project. Or you worked on cross-selling and upselling by you working on associate tools. So you need to have that knowledge of associate tools. So for that particular project. So you worked on demand forecasting in another project. So for a demand forecasting, you worked on ARIMA, SARIMA, LSTMs, gated recurrent units. In this way, you use this kind of algorithms. You need to be thorough with this. So whatever you used in a project, you need to be thorough with that. So that is one way. Primarily, that's how basically companies are expecting. In case no, you can learn all the base algorithms like linear regression, logistic regression, decision tree, a bit of gradient boosting. So that's it, I think. Or you can try about k-means clustering or KNN, or you can try a bit of PCA, and again some of the statistical techniques. The minimal requirement, this is sufficient. Based on that, you can just proceed to the interviews even when you are going as a fresher. But it's always, again, we need to think of a marketing pitch as well. So even preparing computer vision also important, like CNNs, convolution neural networks, a bit of LSTMs, recurrent neural networks, a bit of LSTMs, long short-term memory cells. If you have this knowledge, that's going to help you. In case you don't have a project, just only theory knowledge, try up to CNN or LSTM. But having time series knowledge in your profile always going to help you.
Sir, one more question, and it's not like related exactly to the tech thing. It's like,
Mm.
how do we actually get internships? Because like in college, the time and effort you have to put in internships is kind of hard to manage with classes and all. And like, how do we even get started with it?
See, like one way is like if you have a contact, getting into internship would be easy. Means like you have someone in your company, or you have some of your brothers who are working as a data scientist or some other ways, for example. So you're asking them, is there any role in your organization, or getting the contacts through LinkedIn, networking through LinkedIn, getting the opportunities. Or even if you are struggling for an internship, you can reach out to me as well. I'm doing the same thing. So BPEC job simulation programs primary goal is to build internship. Even if you want an internship, you can contact us to BPEC team or any of us. I think we help you out on the internship. So you can work it from the remote. Like every day we hardly need 2 hours to 3 hours of time. So again, it's not like everyday time. It's like we give a task based on the task completion. You need to complete the task within the specified time interval, or basically through networking.
Yes.
So any doubts if you have, you can just ask me. I can help you out.
Yes, if you have any questions, you can have that in the Q&A section.
Any doubts, you can just ask me. I can clarify your doubts. And how many of you started with machine learning? Anyone here started with machine learning, or you're just at to start? How many of you already started with Python? Python is there in your first year or second year?
Yes, yes, Python.
Python. It's first year, right? Machine learning. Okay, I think most of the people already started with supervised, unsupervised, and all these terminologies you're already familiar with, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, great,
Yes,
great.
sir.
So started working on any of the projects like house pricing or cancer data set, or like you, these are the common Kaggle data you would be trying it, right? Anyone tried with MNIST data, even for images?
Not yet.
Not yet, okay. Just the theory part you completed, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. You can plan it. I think like you can try one project of ML, one project of NLP somewhere like second, third, and fourth year you can try till deep learning. That is good, I think, in opportunity wise. But if you are more interested on software development, yes, that is also very good. You can go for it. So any doubts, please ask me. I can just help you out.
So we have one question that was
Yeah.
like, if we have many applications that using data science today, the first was like Instagram, Spotify, many things are used for data analytics. Then, so if we are thinking about this classification of data, then how can we approach this project and make it superior?
So again, see, like I don't want to take it like data analytics or data science or ML. We can make it more in lines of a value. Now, some problems can be resolved only through reporting or through analytics, like creating a dashboard. Let me take a very simple example. You are the data scientist, or you are my machine learning people, and I own a hospital. Let's imagine. So, or I just own a bank. Anything. Let's take any example. So you are a data science. What is the basic thing you do first? Is like first you want to create a dashboard. Overall, how many customers you have it in a month, how much amount of revenue you make it, So you try to give me that overview. Even for by building that overview, by building that reporting, first thing, you as a data scientist able to get to know more about our company, as well as even I get to know more about my data, my customers, how my bank is working, how the performance of the bank, everything I can know it. I can grab insights. I can make some decisions. So once it is done, now I'm more like, hey, this is so good, man. This is so interesting. The taste of this data and this insights are good. Then I say, hey, man, I just want to reduce my loan repaying ability. So we overissued our loans, and most of the people are not paying the money on time. So most of the people are skipping that next month due date. So if we are able to get back that money, means if we are able to understand which customers are unable to pay, early understanding. So this month, I think the date is 24th. I think the due date going to be 2nd of August or 3rd of August. If you are able to early understand this customers may not be able to pay the bill on August, we are able to give a follow up. Then how can that is more interesting. That is prediction. Means we are trying to make a statement about future before someone is not at paying the bill, or whether he is paying the bill before even the due date. We are trying to say these people are unable to pay the bill. So that is prediction. That's beautiful. So how can we do? I can, if I formulate into machine learning, whether a person going to pay the bill or pay the loan. Paying the bill, yes. Not paying the bill, no. Is it a classification? The same thing like obese, overweight, underweight. Is it similar to classification? Paying a bill, not paying a bill. Is it more like a classification? Yes or no? Is it a classification or not? Paying a bill, yes. Not paying a bill, no. Based on the input parameters, we are about to say whether he going to pay the bill or not paying the bill. Is it a classification?
Yes, sir.
It's a classification. So
Yes.
now, first I created reporting. Second, I went for predictive modeling. Now what we done, once it made a classification as or no, that data we escalated to our team, the sales team or the quality team. This people going to give a call to the people who are unable to pay the bill on time. So based on that report, I think last month in the July, we got some 2 crores of loan got repaid. But when it come to August, so we are able to get that payment is like around 3.5 crores got repaid. I think there is an improvement from the last month. There is an improvement. So this improvement is because of this new technology or the new technique which we followed called as predictive modeling or this machine learning. So if this value is not happening, so on the July month, we got 2.5 crores. In August month, we got 1 crore. Why it is 1 crore when we verified it? So the customers who called are one of the very good customers who are paying the bill on time, but our machine learning model said they may not pay the bill. So we haven't called to the customers who are not even paying the bill, and our machine learning model said they are able to pay the bill on time. Because of that, there is a drop in our business. So now the company going to fire this machine learning thing. So whenever we are building the models in real time, it is very important that is it meeting the business goals. So how we can check whether it is meeting the business goals or not, not just with the accuracy, but testing it in the industry, testing it in the real time, understanding how it is working. So if it is doing well, yes, that going to create an impact. So in this way, the taste we need to create it to the what is that to the business owners. It's not like we can try deep learning. Why I'm a deep learning guy, I know deep learning, I know reinforcement learning, apply deep learning. It's not like that. So it depends upon purely the business. So at what level they are in the analytical journey, we need to go for it. Got it?
Sir, in unsupervised learning, we don't have then a very like a standard for measuring whether the output was correct, the classification was right or wrong. So why do we rely on it?
So now the see unsupervised learning quality is dependent upon the product. Means like output here it not mean like for example let's take associate rules is an example of unsupervised learning. Now associate rule says if a person is buying this particular product called as phone, so with a phone I'm recommending him or I'm saying this is the product we can sell it. AirPods, or with a phone he need to buy a case, or with a red shirt he can buy a blue jean, or with a white t-shirt he is able to get a black jean. So these are the combos we are selling. How can we say the accuracy of it is testing it. Now I'm testing it to the, for example, I got some rules, I pass these rules to the business owners, they verify the business rules whether they are seriously suitable or not. Seriously, just imagine now I'm a business owner, or let's take a very simple example. uh, what is the combo you find it with, for example, IT companies? What is the common thing you find with an IT company? What is the common thing you find with an IT company? IT company with a coffee stall, is it right? Do you find an IT company with a coffee stall?
Yes, sir.
Right? So you where exactly you have a coffee stall, or where exactly people going to go out, they're going to get some snacks. So with the IT company, I placed some dairy products. Seriously, IT company and the dairy products, milk, curd, some biscuits, not biscuits, I think milk, curd, ghee, groceries. So that, does it work? IT company, in front of IT company there is a grocery shop, does it seriously work? Just a moment, sorry. Yeah. So where I stopped, sorry.
Need of frustration.
Yes, what is that? Associate rules, right? Yeah, the IT companies and grocery store, or etc. Like IT company with a grocery store, we less see it. Mostly we see this where exactly people going to come out. We don't see all this kind of things with a grocery. So when we see that a IT company with a grocery, we feel like this doesn't work with our common sense. So in the similar way, again, people who are not with an IT industry, they don't know why grocery store doesn't work. So in order to evaluate a rule, there need to be a person who is very well versed with the domain knowledge. Domain is important. So whatever the rules we got it through associate rules, or which we got it through Instagram is able to give a recommendation. By giving the way Instagram is recommending it, is it increasing the view rate of the customers? Is it increasing the overall screen time of the customers within Instagram? If it is able to do that positive things upwards, yes, I think the rules generated by the models are good. If it is not, again we need to fine tune it. The same thing with associate rules. The rules which we got it when we are doing an email marketing, when we are doing that product promotions, it need to drive us the sales. If it is not driving us the sales, there is no point for going with that particular rule. So that's the benchmark. Not only with unsupervised, even for the supervised, the benchmark is the value we get it with ML, or the value you get it through reporting. Anything, whatever you do, the primary thing is the value. Primarily in data roles. Primarily in the data roles, it's value we measure it.
Any other questions? Otherwise, we can end the session here itself. Okay. Okay, thank you so much, sir, for this meaningful session, which
Thank you. Yeah.
includes and helped many students here. And now I would like to call our Vice President Chetan to give a vote of thanks to all of you and sir.
Yeah, so first of all, good afternoon, everyone. So first and foremost, I thank our special guest, Mr. Rajiv Kant, despite his busy schedule, has found time to grace the question. Yeah, thank you so much, sir, and it was really an honor and privilege for us to have you. And I also express my heartfelt thanks to Varachillai ma'am and Abha ma'am for the valuable contribution in the organizing this very event. And we are also grateful to our division head, Dr. Pon Harshvardhan, sir. And also, I would like to thank all the distinguished invitees present here, accepting our invitation. And I thank all the good hearts who work behind the screen. Last but not the least, I thank my team for making this function a resounding success. Thank you all. Stay tuned. We will be back with some amazing events. Till then, do follow us on our social media handles, and also do follow Rajiv sir on Insta, LinkedIn, YouTube. He is really doing such a great job. So yeah, thank you so much, sir, and everyone present here. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for having me. Thank you. Bye bye.
Okay, guys, we also share the feedback form in the chat section. You can fill that and you can get the link from the YouTube live too and from the chat section too. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thank you everyone.
Thank you,
Thank you, our
everyone.
faculty members, and thank you, everyone. Thank you, our team. Make it successful, and thank you, audience, for being patient and being here with us. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, students. Really, you have done a very good job. So initially, I thought that how it is going to happen, but you have made it happen without any disturbance, any. So really, I'm happy. This is the first event. Okay, so really, you have done it. Very good job. Thank you,
Yeah,
my
thank you,
dears.
man.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you,
to
my
you
dears.
too.
Yes, my dear. Thank you. I can leave the session. You collect the feedback from the students without fail. Okay, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
So
Okay,
we
ma'am.
will discuss in
Guys,
the
everyone,
morning.
please just fill the
I
feedback
can
form.
leave
It's
the
in the
session,
chat
no?
box, or
I
you
can
can
leave
collect it
it.
from our
Yes, ma'am, you
WhatsApp
can leave
update
it.
group.
Yes, my dear. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay,
Please
thank you, guys.
confirm that you fill the feedback form because the certification is based on that only. So I kindly request you to fill the feedback. You can get the link from the YouTube live also and in the chat section as well. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you,
Bye.
guys.
Bye everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Have a nice day, guys. Chetan, can you please end the meeting?
Yeah, sure.